Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of the Architecture Trap Far Away sessions. And in this episode, we deal with movies and architecture. So, as we know, in the lockdown, we're spending a lot of time watching movies. So, I thought let's talk about movies, deal with architecture as a subject, and also the importance of architects and designers on a film crew. Of course, we also talk about the general perception of architects in the society, and who better to join us than these three amazing people. We have Ishan Ghosh, who is one of the founding partners of Fora, which is a marketing communications agency based out of Kolkata, and they do a ton of video production. They work with a lot of brands, and of course, he's personally done a lot of work with the Bengali film industry. We also have someone similar in Sheikh Aloy Rahman, who has worked in some of the larger production crews, and he's done a significant amount of work in that as well. He is also supposed to be joining Chrome Pictures after he's done with his thesis. Along with them, we have Ekansh Mishra, who keeps a keen understanding of it and wants to get into the nitty gritty of how things work. So it makes for a good conversation. We discuss a lot of stuff, and I think you'll really like it. So let's just dive into it. So, yeah, getting back to it, how is the lockdown treating you? What are you guys up to?
So the thing is, I knew this would happen. I am fine with it actually, and I never thought I would be fine with sitting at home. But and I have everything I need right now. I have my alcohol, I have my cigarettes, and I have like a lot of things to do. Right now, I'm doing three Udemy courses on what to like, one on Premiere Pro, one on After Effects, and one on Photoshop. I'm doing three courses and simultaneously trying to work on my vlog, which I'll like continuously clicking photos, videos, and animations. I don't know when I will figure that out, like through this course of this 21 days. And I'm trying to quit smoking also after I finish my packet of cigarettes.
Yeah,
The
which is
10
very
packets I
interesting
have.
because you're currently smoking. So yeah,
No,
yes.
I'm not
Quit.
smoking. Yeah, I will.
Like,
In these
I will
21
quit
days, I will
smoking.
reduce smoking. I'll reduce smoking in 21 days. That is. Oh, I'm working out also at home. I'm doing a 30-minute workout from YouTube. It's full body and my body is paining also because I haven't worked out in a while. But I like it. I like this period. And I'm cooking at night. Not like very good cooking, but normal bachelor type cooking I'm doing, and washing dishes, cleaning floors, helping my parents, doing grocery shopping. Um, what else am I doing? Talking to people a lot for a change. Video calling people all the time,
Yeah, I
but
think
not working on my thesis. That is one thing I'm not doing. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
lockdown period has been very hectic for me actually because
Bal,
since I have digital communication agency,
taking shit.
so people what?
Nothing.
What did you say?
Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
okay. Ignore that guy. Anyway, so it has been very hectic because I have been creating because this quarantine period everybody wants to make content. So that has been a very
Quarantine.
hectic task for
Quarantine. Okay. You don't have
quarantine,
to talk much.
quarantine.
Okay.
Yeah. So in
Quarantine.
quarantine period, everybody is trying to make content from their home, and all our clients are trying to make content. And that's why I am stuck at home and not enjoying the quarantine period that much because I am trying to, edit their stuff, put their stuff on social media, and all that stuff is happening. But apart from that, obviously, the traveling time has reduced. I don't have to go to shoots and all that stuff. So I'm spending my free time, watching Netflix series or, reading books that I've piled on for a long time. And, just roaming about at home and, talking with my parents because I'm not used to seeing my parents all day at home. That's a very
Yeah.
good experience for me because
New
everybody is at
experience,
home. Yeah.
What
right?
what
So,
what
yeah, that is how it is.
content do you what
What
content
content are
are
you?
you working on?
What
What
content am I
content?
working on?
Yeah, for your clients,
Oh, acha, for my clients. So my clients range from
except home
different
workout.
personalities. So one wants to make a vlog about, about flashbacks about how they have led their life and, how they are spending time during the Corona period. There is this one client of ours who is a chef who is wanting to do as much as recipes as she can in this period, and to to streamline all that content in this kind of time is a bit of a hectic job because everybody is free, and because
Yeah.
everybody is free, everybody is
Yeah,
wanting to
you
make
cannot make
content.
excuses that I have something to do because nobody has anything to do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nobody has anything to, but because nobody has anything to do, they are wanting to make content. And the problem with them making content is I have to sit and edit those content and put it up on social media. So that's why
Mm.
it's a bit hectic, but it's fun. It's fun.
okay, what we'll do,
Love. Yeah.
we'll streamline this conversation a bit. We'll bring it down to the
Why we not, hey,
content that you've
why
introduced.
are we not caring about Ekansh? Is he not
Okay,
human?
Ekansh, Ekansh, are you human?
No, no, I was, I have already talked about my quarantine periods on multiple occasions, but I am really enjoying this period because I have
Wow.
been self quarantining for the last 23 years. So I am doing whatever I want without without anybody giving me work to do. So I am reading about
Exactly.
philosophy. I am watching series. Whatever I want to do, I'm doing right now. So that is my point. What series to watch? Like there's a limit on what to watch
Yeah,
and
yeah,
So
what
yeah.
kind
we'll
of kind of
we'll
Yeah.
series you
bring that.
want to watch.
We'll
That
we'll
is
bring
what we
that.
want to talk about.
So we'll bring that to that. So having said that, there's so much content being produced nowadays. Um, as architects, what is that one series or content that you currently watch which ticked off that architectural bug in you and said ki, where you started concentrating on the architecture shown in the bill. I'll give you an example of what I mean. So there's this movie by starring Tom Hiddleston called High Rise, where it's basically some architect creates a building which is multiple stories. It's a skyscraper, and then people are living on different floors as per their economic status. So if you're like really not from a very rich economic class, then you're living on the ground floors. The people who have a lot of financial capabilities are basically rich people are living on the top, and it gets into chaos and stuff like that. That episode, that whole movie that while I was seeing it, I was drawn to the kind of architecture shown. It like the architect inside me kind of came out and started looking at it, and I felt like, yeah, this is a brutalist building. The building plays a huge
But
part in
then,
this,
but
whatever is
then
happening.
I'm saying you talked about this movie. Did you like this? Like, did this help you in studying architecture, or you studied architecture and then decoded what this is? And was it
No,
in your
it didn't
beginning
help me.
years or later years?
No, I was watching it during the quarantine period, so
Oh,
few
acha,
days
acha,
back.
yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
I was telling you about some movie where you've seen the movie after all this studying architecture for so many years,
Yeah.
and you see the movie and you kind of like two sides of your brain. So you kind of concentrating on what the plot is and how the movie is going, but you're also kind of concentrating in the architecture that is being shown. Like for example, in this movie High Rise, it is a brutalist building, and I cannot take my eyes off the fact that it's a brutalist building, and that is playing a huge role. And it's not being referenced in the plot. The characters are not talking a lot about the building, except for the fact that the rich are at the top floor and the poor people are at the ground floor. But in itself, the exterior and the interior shown, that's something that my brain couldn't kind of differentiate, and I kept concentrating on the architecture of the building. So is there something like that which
Yeah.
you've seen and
So,
you
like
just couldn't
recently,
help?
like biggest example would be Parasite. No, that
Right,
has
right,
immense kind of like for
exactly.
me that made me realize that architecture and filmmaking can absolutely go hand in hand because
Right,
Mm-hmm.
they
right,
designed the entire thing based on the storyline. If you
right.
have seen Parasite, that is so
Mm-hmm.
I
that
haven't seen
has
Mm-hmm.
Parasite.
I really like the fact that I was always fighting with myself about what to do in my life. When do I take filmmaking through or do I keep some architecture in me? And then after watching Parasite, I felt that both of them can go hand in hand and can do a great
Right.
job at it because it won an Oscar, the first non
No,
foreign language film to win an Oscar.
I feel architecture provides a surrounding to the main act that is happening. Like for example,
Yeah,
in
but
Right.
Captain America, like I have two different examples. When Captain America fights the old and the new Captain America, the bridge. So the bridge is an architectural setting where they fight on, so that it provides a height. And then another example that I have is Gothic buildings provide a great background to scare horror movies.
Yeah.
So
Because of those
architecture
long
always
glass
provides,
windows.
because of the long. So
Yeah.
I think architecture provides a surrounding, which is, I think, the filmmakers inherently know. What we
Right. It's very
study,
pivotal. It's
filmmakers
very
inherently.
pivotal.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I
Like
I to
Aloy
a
will
certain
know that better
yeah.
because Aloy has worked in production design. Like he has been
Yeah.
a part of films as a production designer or as a production designing team. So he
Hmm.
knows that best. I mean, like
Mm.
it's not only about buildings, I guess. Like say
Yeah.
Parasite deals with Parasite deals with buildings like proper. It has references from different parts of a building. Like the stairs are a very rhetorical example. The
No,
neighborhood
even if
where
you look at
the
the first scene of the movie comes
Hmm.
from this
right,
like half basement kind of scenario
right,
and moves in.
right,
That
right.
also has
So
a
it
great.
has a lot of right, exactly. So it has a lot of stairs, but apart from that, apart because architecture also talks about spaces. It's not only about
Hmm.
buildings. Architecture is about building
Hmm.
Yes.
spaces. So if you see any of the films of say Wes Anderson or say somebody like
Yeah.
uh, Space Odyssey,
Oh, for the
2001.
Space
Stanley
Odyssey.
Kubrick,
Oh yeah.
Stanley
Kubrick,
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 Stanley
Kubrick.
Kubrick.
Kubrick,
So
Stanley Kubrick.
even though it is not directly related to architecture, it talks a lot about spaces, like all the sets that you see, or even if you see a full metal jacket, the formation of the army squad, or all those things are, if not directly, but it is in a way related to architecture all the time because it talks about
I
composition.
think
It
it is.
talks about yeah,
I, I think it is related because if you see Shining, 2001: A Space Odyssey, in
Yeah.
2001: A Space Odyssey built his entire furniture, which was
right,
futuristic, right?
Hmm.
The curved
exactly,
spaces in that spaceship, and Shining was so in a building only, like a
Yeah.
right,
big,
Right.
yeah,
Hmm.
and
everything they used in that building. The whole, अरे वही सीन क्या की भाई,
right.
अरे अरे
Even for that
the,
matter,
chi-
Clockwork was
the kid
the
on the
spaces that they
tripod.
were in.
The toddler
Yeah,
Toddler
yeah, yeah,
wala
yeah.
scene
scene.
are you talking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Yes,
yes.
And
right.
I think at a certain point, the architecture, at least what I think is plays a very important role in setting the time period of where the film is set. So, for example, if you're looking at Mohenjo-daro, which is a Indian film which is set in the Harappan civilization, the kind of architecture kind of gives you a feel of what the community can be like, which in turn kind of shapes like what the characters can be like, which is again I feel very greatly done in this Amazon Prime series called Hunters.
The production design of Mohenjo-daro was excellent.
It's
Yeah,
excellent, and not
exactly.
only that, it was
Like
research
they
to
had,
a T.
in Mohenjo-daro, I had seen this documentary of the making of Mohenjo-daro. So
Right,
they had actually, brought bricks from that era that they have gone in ruins and stuff, and they have, matched that and put up those buildings, measuring those bricks like
right.
full to the
So my question is, who does
No,
that
so
for a film?
so
No, the question is, who does that for a film? The production
Production designer.
designer
production
has
design.
some background in architecture. Or is he taught the construction of
No,
a space or the
no.
history of, or is it
You have to.
learned from?
I think you have to know that. And production designer has to have knowledge of set design also. So that is where the
Right.
architecture part comes in.
I think for fools like us, if both of you guys can differentiate between what a
Between
production
yeah,
designer
yeah.
does, what an art designer does, and what a set designer does.
The production design is the main like framework. Under the production designer are the set designers, the art directors. So all of
Okay.
them report to the production designer. So production
Right.
designer decides the theme of the film with the director, and he passes that on to the set designer. He builds the set, and then like the production designer gives their opinion on it, and the art director decides the interior of the or the exterior, however you like it. And
So
it can depend
basically,
also. Of course,
production.
a short. The thing is, a short film budget might not have a set designer or a art director. It might just have a production designer.
Right.
A
Okay.
big
So
Right.
production house will
So
have more.
basically, an architect, structural engineer, and an interior designer working together is what happens in a film as well.
I
Not
won't say
really.
serial designer.
Not really. Not
Tell me
really.
something.
Not really. Why?
Because you're not
Very different milieu altogether.
Mm-hmm.
necessarily building something which is structurally viable. You don't have to build it something which is structurally viable.
So because we are talking about architecture and how it relates to films and the setting of the film, I think a better question will be how, like on a film set, how a production designer acts differently from an architect.
Yeah, yeah,
I guess
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
that is a
yeah, yeah.
point
That's
that
the
we would
question.
want to highlight upon. Because see, a production designer has to keep a lot of things in mind which an architect doesn't have to. At the same way, an architect has to keep a lot of other things in mind which the production designer might not have to. So the first thing that they have to keep in mind, have you seen this ad by Spike Jones of Apple?
Apple, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Production designer's work is to serve to the story. Like say if I, say a film like Bahubali, right? Or and compare it with a film like Parasite, which are two different parameters, but both has a very strong architectural influence attached to it. But the difference lies for a production designer is a set like Bahubali, you don't have to make accessible, like on a set of Bahubali, you don't have to make all the points accessible, which is not needed. Like all the windows are not real windows, or the staircases are not real staircases, right?
mm, mm, mm.
On the contrary, in a film like Parasite, you have
Yeah.
to make every place accessible
Because
because
of
the
the
film
scale also,
demands
no?
that. All and on comparison with that, an architect always has to first think about how it should be viable. They cannot build a building and say, no, you can't go to that part because that part is fragile, but it just looks good. That's why it's there. You cannot do that
Mm,
as an architect,
mm,
right? You
mm,
cannot make a
mm.
false window and say, it looks great, so I have just made a false window. People do that, but that is not how architecture works, right? So
And
I guess the
filmmaking
main
does not have to
difference
have
here,
a filmmaking sets don't have to have a set of orientation. You don't have to
right?
look for
Audio.
southwest wind or light
Mm,
because
mm, mm,
because
mm,
you can always put light, no?
Right.
So
mm,
I don't
mm.
think
Yeah,
orientation is
Artificial
required with
lighting.
that.
The other
I
thing
think
is,
Artificial
that is a
lighting.
great important point. Yeah.
and the other one thing is, a production designer knows the movements, an architect doesn't know the movements that will happen in his building.
So you know
That's a
what
Mm,
exact functions
yeah.
are gonna happen in that
So
space.
you have a see
So you will
a
design
film is a
accordingly.
very collaborative art, right? So you talk with the DOP, you talk with the director, and you know exactly you know how much the
the
character
shot.
will walk, where he will walk, or where he will roam around. An architect doesn't know that,
Mm,
right? So
mm, mm,
that's
mm,
the big
mm,
difference
mm.
while you are making a structure.
Like one major difference would be how an architect approaches the design is he has to place certain things in certain places all the time, like a toilet and the services, which construct a major part of our architecture right now. If we talk about
Right.
making the building built, so that
Mhm.
absolutely is not there in
Mm,
production design.
mm,
Suppose we know there needs to be 20 flights of stairs to reach a floor. Suppose
mm,
Okay.
a production designer can do it in four if he requires only
Right.
four.
mm, mm,
You don't need
mm,
to
mm.
logically. That's nothing. That's right.
R-
It's an art
Right.
form
So
that is something someone's gonna use.
right. So, having said that, one other thing that we thought about is that, when we are talking about a lot of these examples, we're talking about a lot of these movies which are not being made in India, right? So, even if I talk about, is there a movie where you've kind of seen normalization of architects and architecture? Like, I'll give you an example. In a movie like Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio's character goes in and hires an architect to make a maze, right?
Mm,
Whereas so
mm,
that's kind of normalization of the profession happening in lives of movies, because generally an audience seeing a movie, it's going to stay in their psyche for longer than if someone is telling it to them or they're hearing it from friends or anything like that. Is that kind of normalization missing in Indian media, for that matter? Or even for the to
Yeah,
take that into example, even if you take a movie like Due Date, which has absolutely nothing to do with architecture. Robert Downey Jr.'s character is an architect, right? So that kind of normalization, is it something that we are missing greatly upon?
see, the Indian society does not recognize architects. Absolutely doesn't. If you ask a layman
Exactly.
who is tell me a name of an architect, he will not be able to say Shalpuri Bividoshi ওটা বলতে পারবে না, ঠিক আছে? They won't be able to say any architect's name because we don't celebrate architecture here. That is the major issue. And so most metropolitan cities don't hire architects, they hire LBS or diploma people. No, you don't need architects to build a building. You need a structural engineer who will design the building also for you and make architect sign the building for you. So you never, unless you are from the upper middle class or upper class, you never actually go to an architect if you're trying to build your house. If you're moving into a complex, then so somebody has to hire an architect. But if you're building anything about G+2 or 3 by yourself, it is residential. Unless you are coming from a point of the society, you never hire an architect.
The movies that we were talking about, so I won't be that. So see, it is a reality that architecture is not a celebrated profession pan India or among like all the sections of the society. It's not, right? It's a very elite profession to be in, and it's a very elite thing to afford. Let's be clear about that. But in films, like your question was how architecture in Indian films is represented, right? So the examples that we were making doesn't really rely on the fact that you are architecturally how much you are aware, but it also depends on the budget. You cannot recreate an entire set in an Indian setup because the films don't have budget. But
No,
let me take example. Let me make a small example of Gully Boy. So Gully Boy is a film which was shot on the Dharavi Bastis, right? But the thing is, the part where Ranveer Singh's character, the house where Ranveer Singh lived, or all the locality surrounding him, was built on a set. It was built on a totally different place. You get my point? So that is architecture also, because they had that. So
no,
what we do
my
in
point is
architecture,
something different. My point is something different. My point is about the normalized, like there's this worldwide phenomenon known as How I Met Your Mother, right? And How I Met Your Mother, there's this character Ted Mosby who's an architect, a struggling and failing architect for that matter, but a architect
that
still,
way,
right? So
that way
are
I can.
we? I think we are not normalizing the profession enough. Like if you can tell me, is there one movie that you have seen which has kind of inspired
I'm
you
saying,
to at least know more about the profession?
right.
See,
So let me.
my point is
Let
such a
me no, you continue. I will speak up.
My point is the Indian population is not ready for architecture. It comes from a very economic point of view. Okay, we cannot think about architecture because 70% people don't care about how their home is going to look like. They care about if they have a roof above their head. So they don't think about architecture. So that is why the level of architecture is like this. See, suppose you're moving to Bombay, okay? Your sole point is getting a place to stay. You don't care how the place is going to look like from the outside. So I don't
No,
think
but the
movies is going to
point
change
is
that.
he. No, the point is even the elite class of our country, for example, a place like Bengal, which is known for its art and appreciates art, does not appreciate architecture. And why is that? Why do you feel
Yeah.
that? Even in the economic stand up point of view, like for example, a very rich doctor makes a very rich doctor makes a doesn't hire an architect, rather hire the engineer or a intern to just
Yes,
redesign his
exactly.
interior. Why doesn't he hire an architect? Is it because of the awareness? Because that is not economic point. That is not dependent on economy. A rich doctor has the money
I
to
think
afford an
I
architect.
think I think there is a
uh,
phobia that if you hire an
I'll just
architect, they'll take a lot of money out of you.
No,
Eh,
no.
Pablo
Nah,
Grau.
nah, nah.
what are some movies that all of us, all four of us, can recommend for someone who's trying to see very well done, architecturally thought about set design, or some story which has that element of architecture in it, which
Mm-hmm.
will
I'll answer.
make
I'll
you
answer.
curious, which will make you curious. Yeah, go on.
Watch Grand Budapest Hotel. Okay.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
on
that's
my list
amazing.
as
Yeah.
well.
Watch Parasite. Watch Shining. Watch 2001: A Space Odyssey. Actually, watch all Stanley Kubrick films. Even watch A
Okay.
Clockwork Orange also. and you can watch Limitless if you want to see weird architecture. And what else? I would say like
How about
watch five first,
I-
then we'll talk.
no, but in general, because now is the time of quarantine, and there's a lot of time for people to actually consume that kind of content.
So
So
what do you
what is
think about What do you think about Black Mirror portraying the future of a small
yeah?
home? Like,
Because
how is that?
my biggest concern with that is a lot of episodes in Black Mirror which they are talking about futuristic. Even one episode where they're talking about futuristic rating system, right? It doesn't necessarily portray futuristic architecture. It portrays a futuristic technology in a
Yeah,
architecture which is set in today's time. I see if I
Mm,
mute it
yeah.
and I see the architecture, I don't know it's 50 years down the line. I feel it's today, right?
Even
So
if you,
yeah, I
yeah,
say
exactly. Even if you see
so.
like the big budget sci-fi films, even they show architecture like a glass building. No? You see
yeah,
Right.
Avengers,
exactly.
just a
Avengers,
glass building.
Just a glass building. I think
I'm
that's
not talking about
absolutely
interiors because that is when technology comes in. But the form of the building is not something which is very,
Unique.
I mean, yeah, with not very modern. Like it is already modern.
It's
It's post-modern, but
futuristic. It's
not
not
futuristic. Not
future.
futuristic.
right. So
Like
I think
I would
I
love what Christopher Nolan does with his concepts of the future, like what he tried to depict in Inception as well as in Interstellar. If he would depict futuristic buildings, and he had like in terms of form, rather than going like he does great research on the uh, science and the interior of it, but I think the form and just falls. But it's just modern, I feel, and
I
something
think
post.
I would also recommend anyone who's interested to watch American Psycho. Uh, the one in which Bale
Christian
goes on
Bale.
a Christian Bale
Bill,
going on a
Yeah,
murder spree. Be-
why
because
for architecture?
that I think is the perfect representation of what is going on in his mind in terms of architecture. The glass building, or when you see outside and in retrospect compare it with what is going on in his mind. I feel that there's that amazing sense of correlation between what the kind of surrounding that he's keep surrounding himself with. Be it a scene where I don't know if you remember the movies. I was just recently watching it again, so I remembered. There's a
I
scene
remember.
where he brings in someone to his house, and then he plays a song, and
Yeah,
then he
yeah.
goes ahead and
Another in
murders.
the same movie.
Then he murders her.
So then he kind of murders that person. I think that makes amazing sense, because the overall setting makes it. The music plays a very important role, but the setting itself is great, to the point where he goes to his office, and then I think he goes on killing people, and he keep going up, and I think he calls someone, and he says he's not being able to believe it, and the whole storyline. So I won't be revealing the whole story over here, but yeah, effectively I feel that it's a great representation of what is going on inside his head, as crooked as it may be.
See, I think in that way, animated movies have a lot of futuristic architecture involved. And plus, we have so many urban planning concepts. Like you build a neighborhood with 100 towered buildings, like 100 of them. A Frank Lloyd
Mm.
Wright concept, no?
So,
Right.
a recent film that I would like to recommend is this film by Lars von Trier called The House That Jack Built.
Oh, I've
It's a
seen, I've
crazy
seen.
film. It has a direct reference to architecture, first of
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
and apart from that, also it deals, like you said, American Psycho. It is a bit like the correlation between the psyche and the architecture is very abstract there, but here it is
Mm.
very direct. The film talks about that. The
Okay.
film
Okay.
directly talks
Because
about
it
that.
is
The film directly tries to
the
connect
house
the psyche
that
of
Jack
the
built.
person. What?
It has the word house that Jack built.
Right. So
Right.
it's great. That is a film that one can watch, to see how architecture can drive many storylines parallelly. That is
Yeah.
a
And
great film to watch.
even if you want to see something very small scale, set in the interior, then they can watch Climax by Gaspar Noé. Because that is also
Yeah.
something revolves around
Great.
this only one room, one or two rooms. That is
Exactly.
something which I really like.
What we'll do is I'll collect all these recommendations. I'll kind of link them below. I'll put down the links if possible, at least I'll name the movie so you can watch. I think most of it is available on Netflix and Amazon Prime anyway, right? And I think anyone
No,
who
no,
it's not
no.
available.
Like, no, House for Jack Build and Climax is not for sure because these are festival films that we had watched, I guess. Yeah, so
I think
it's
torrent will do the job for
Netflix
people.
and
Yeah,
Amazon also need to up their
I
game.
don't endorse. I don't endorse torrents.
Acha,
But
just
they
one
can
thing today,
buy,
one
they
thing
can
I
be,
really wanted.
they can be Anugrah Kashyap and buy CDs later on and pay for it.
That's for sure.
right. They can, like, you can
They
torrent,
can,
you can torrent it now and then be just like Anurag Kashyap, buy CDs later and pay for it later when you have the money. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes, sure. And one last thing which I would want to recommend, since we are talking about architecture and films and documentaries and stuff like that. So we are talking about films and architecture, but you can watch this TED talk by this guy called Ivan Ban.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so he is basically the architectural photographer for all the A-list buildings that you
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Crazy guy. Crazy
yeah.
guy. He's an
So
amazing
in
guy.
his TED talk, he talks about how people transform the architecture in their own way, where there
Right.
is no knowledge, where there is no education, but they transform it for their own livelihood. I guess that is a great thing to watch. And also, obviously, I guess we all know about that Netflix. In Netflix, you can watch Art of Design. That is a great way
Abstract
to
the
learn
art of
about
desire. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that is great. I think there's this one show on Netflix which is called Grand Designs, which talks about
I
Right,
didn't
people
like.
taking.
I didn't like.
No, in
exactly.
terms of, I like the concepts that they have shown, the kind of buildings they've covered. I feel that makes sense.
Right, right.
Right. So yeah, there's a bunch of TED Talk, and I think to sum it up, let's just say that to bring in from everything that people have said, yes, to a certain degree, maybe people are not really paying a lot of heed to architects. Not maybe people are not paying a lot of heed to the architects, but I am absolutely optimistic and honestly believe that media can that has the power to bring that back. And I think at a certain point, yeah, and at a
Do it.
certain point. At a certain point, I really feel that it's kind of important for the doctors and the lawyers and the architects to do what they do because they are the subject experts at it.
আমি বলছি তোকে ভাই আজকে আমি স্পেন্সার্স গেছিলাম সকালে তো বাই স্টাফ ঠিক আছে মানে গ্রোসারিজ এন্ড এভরিথিং তারপরে আমার কাছে 2 প্যাকেট ছিল আর বাকি তারপরে আমি স্পেন্সারের লোকটাকে জিজ্ঞেস করলাম কি গো সিগারেট পাওয়া যাবে না বললো না মোদিজি এখন বলেছে 15 এপ্রিল অব্দি পাওয়া যাবে না ঠিক আছে তারপরে আমি ওই স্পেন্সার্স থেকে বেরিয়ে একটা রিক্সাওয়ালাকে ধরলাম বললাম যে তোমার পাড়ায় নিয়ে চলো তোমরা যেখান থেকে সিগারেট কিনছো আমাকে ওখানে নিয়ে চলো দিয়ে গেলাম তারপরে 10 প্যাকেট সিগারেট কিনেছি আজকে দেখবি